late nights polishing your Common App, hunting for typos within the app and your essays, and wondering if colleges are just sitting there waiting for your file to appear. Well, spoiler, they're not just sitting there. In fact, the week before early decision deadlines, admission officers are already in overdrive. They're already in super speed. They're just moving like crazy. But probably not the way you think. I am Kevin at College Refocus, and today we're pulling back the curtains on what colleges are really doing the week before everybody's applying early and doing the early action or early decision. And they might totally change your strategy. So picture this. Rows of monitors glowing, emails inbox are exploding, and spreadsheets are going crazy, right? In the week before early action deadline, colleges aren't reading essays yet. They're prepping the systems. So they're trying to get everything in alignment, all their ducks in a row before they get really going. IT are stress testing the servers, and because there's going to be thousands of applicants hitting that system, and so they want to make sure that it's going to be okay. Admissions coordinators are double checking that high school codes, transcripts, uploads, and recommendation portals are all synced up together. The region reps, which is people in your state or in your county, and they're taking up the first line of defense about whether or not your application is going to go to the actual college admissions people. Well, they're finalizing travel reports from the fall school visits and setting priorities of which regions might get more attention this year. It's all a bunch of just logistics, not essay reading and not anything like that. As of yet, they're just all clamoring together, making sure their ducks in a row. In the really selective schools like the Ivy Leagues, they're doing something interesting, probably not like the others. They're doing pre-reads. And they're doing that pre-read and just kind of putting these people into their own filtered bucket, right? But they haven't read through the essays as of yet. They're not diving deep yet. They're not really paying attention yet. But what they're trying to do is just kind of sort everybody into certain buckets, right? Anything that is a standout already, like a Olympian, they're going to get a special track, right? But realistically, they're just kind of moving paper around. And if you submitted before the deadline, your name might be floating around the table already for some of these more elite colleges. And that goes back to a couple of things I wanted to talk about. Like if you go early action, your chances are going to be better because you're going to be saying to the admissions officer, I really want to go to this college and I'm focused and I got all my ducks in a row and sent them to you. That's a great thing. However, let's say you didn't meet the deadline, but you got in the day after. Let's just say that, something went wrong and the system didn't work and you got in the day after. Okay, yes, you might not be part of the early group for early action, but guess what? You're the first in row for the next group. And that's great. Just because you might be submitting one day later doesn't really necessarily mean that you're going to get totally wiped off the table because you're still in that early group, or as early as you can. It shows more interest the earlier you do. So if you submitted back, the first week when it first opened, you're going to be looked at quite a bit. Your essays, your Common App, your application is going to be sitting on people's desks for a long time. That's better than waiting until 11:59 on the day before the deadline and then getting your application amongst of thousands others that night trying to get into that same college. So the earlier the better, regardless of what the deadlines are. Now, here's where it gets interesting. You've submitted it by the deadline, and now the fun begins, if you will, for the college admissions people. So colleges aren't just waiting for your essay, they're tracking engagement, right? So that's the first thing that you want to know. Yes, the weeks before deadline, schools are checking, did you open their email? Did you attend a virtual session? Did you do a tour on campus? All of these are making statements of you are connected to this campus, right? Are you following them on on the social media? The more elite colleges see all of this, and they're tracking all of this. So if you're trying to get into Harvard and you're not liking them on your social medias, that's a tick mark against you, right? So this is all part of the engagement. It's also applying early as part of engagement. All of it is making sure that they are tracking whether or not they believe you're going to accept their offer if they give you an offer. It's the second item of how they're measuring their admissions office. The first is how many rejections they give per year. That's one thing that they measure. The second one is if they give you an offer, if they accept you to their college, will you be a guarantee that you're going to this college or not? That's the second one. So this is the first measurement that they measure themselves by, and you can see that measurement externally. There's a lot of data on that of what the acceptance rate is. Internally, this one could be just as important. They want to know that you're going to go to this college if you're applying. So showing up and giving interest to that college via social media, virtual sessions, emails, all of it is part of whether or not they see that you're interested in this college or not, and whether or not they believe you're going to come. So knowing that this is happening behind the scenes, it kind of gives you a little bit of power, doesn't it? And there's a playbook for that final week before the early action deadlines. So let's go down the checklist of the last minute items before you hit the apply button. So, check every document. Make sure that there's not a missing transcript or recommendation out there. Colleges triage incomplete applications this week, right? So don't end up on hold pile because you have something missing. Open and engaged. So last minute checklist, make sure that the emails are open. Make sure that you've replied to any open emails that they might be that might have come to you that you haven't opened yet. Make sure that you're showing engagement. Submit 1 or 2 days early. You don't want to be the student that submits 11:59. They see it. They understand what that means. They mean that what that tells them is that person waits for the last minute to do anything. That's not a great thing normally. Even with the early action, it's still saying that this student waits for the last minute. It's not the best way to represent yourself. Double check your major and the programs of choice. If you applied undecided when your transcript screams STEM, you might miss out on targeted scholarships. So there is a lot of targeted scholarships specific to certain colleges and certain majors within those colleges. There are business major scholarships. There are mechanical engineering scholarships. It depends on which college you're applying to and which program you're applying to. But if you go undecided, most likely you're not going to get any of that kind of money. And then stay calm. They're not going to, read your essay saying, they missed this, they missed this, they missed this. They're reading it over a cup of coffee in the morning, trying to get an understanding of who you are. Yes, typos are bad and they are looked on badly. However, don't stress upon that because at the end of the day, what you want is to come across as a good person and as a good student and as a student that will be successful in life. Those are the three things that they're looking at when they're looking at the holistic picture of these essays and the application. And then once you hit the submit button, what happens, right? What happens the day after you hit the submit? Well, a couple of things happen, right? So there's a lot of verifications or a lot of check marks that have to be checked off, if you will, before they start really investigating you. You know, the system checks to make sure that all the PDFs are loading correctly. Your high school counselor reports are matched up on your file. They are finally, your app is marked as complete, and then the countdown to the review begins. So you, as it progresses through these steps that the admissions office is going to be looking at, as it progresses, there's different cornerstones or different timeline of events, right? So first step, is this complete? Is it a full package that then can be reviewed? So, you know, some of the interns, if you will, are probably checking all that to make sure everything is lined up. And then it's being handed to the people that are appropriately going to review your application. And if you have a college that has a timeline of events coming to you, right? Don't stress about them. Don't say, oh, well, my friend, theirs went to this stage and mine's only at this stage. Don't stress about that. They're going to get back to you as soon as they can. They've just gotten thousands of applications and they're going to take some time to get through them. So while you're obsessing about conclusion paragraph or whether or not you're worried about the hook on your essay, or you're looking over your Common App and trying to find any typos, one, take a chill pill. Two, if you need professional help with this, to look over your information and your application before you hit submit, reach out to us at College Refocus. We will try to get you in as quickly as possible to make sure that you meet your deadlines and have confidence when hitting the submit button. So thank you again for tuning in to our channel here at College Refocus. If you need any help, please reach out to us. And if you could, leave a like and subscribe down below. And I'll leave you with this. Be nice to each other out there. Bye-bye. We'll see you next time.